Just before we dive into today's episode, I want to announce that today's episode relates to suicide. So if you do find this topic triggering or you aren't interested in this kind of content, please do not listen. I'm tired of this life. I just honestly want to die peacefully in my sleep. Have you ever said those words before? Or maybe not said them, but have thoughts like this ever gone through your head when it feels like you're in that place that your existence doesn't matter and you just feel like you'd be better off dead, or you wish that you hadn't been born at all? Now, if you have been in this dark pit, or if you currently are in this dark place, I want you to know that I actually do see you, and I've been there before, which is a major reason why I created this episode to help you. Welcome to Healthy Minds Talk, a podcast created to help you grow, bring awareness to mental health, and also remind you that it's not all in your head. There's hope, even when your brain tells you there isn't. I'm Praise Victor, and I remain your host on this show. The year was 2018. I went to the top floor of my faculty building and sat by the window in an empty class, thinking of jumping down. I was wondering that if I jumped, would I eventually die or just regret it by having broken bones? The building had about 3 floors, but I wasn't sure of what the outcome would be. All I knew is that I wanted to end my life, but in a peaceful and less chaotic way. I kept thinking that even if I jumped and I died immediately, how many hours would it take before someone noticed my absence and came to look for me? I felt invisible for a very long time, and I was just so sure that my absence wouldn't have any effect. Obviously, I didn't jump because I'm still here today telling you my story. And the truth is, in 2018, when this happened, and even in 2021, when I did attempt suicide, I didn't have those thoughts or do that because I actually wanted to die. I just wanted the life that I had to end. And I don't know if you understand this, but I wanted to stop feeling empty on the inside. I wanted to enjoy life and not just barely get by. I didn't want to have to pretend that I was happy when I wasn't. I didn't have any hope that my life would ever get better. I just felt like I was suffocated and trapped in a dark room, a room where I couldn't see myself and others couldn't see me either. And if you currently feel like this, the first thing I want you to know is that I'm sorry. I am actually very sorry that no one sees your pain. I'm sorry you're burdened with not knowing how to express yourself. I'm sorry you're burdened with the fear of being called an attention seeker and a liar when you open up. I'm sorry that you constantly have to fight those demons all by yourself. I'm very sorry. And I'm also glad. I'm glad that you haven't given up yet. Because even in that dark room where you feel trapped and you still, have that tiny little drop of hope that maybe someone will come save you. Now, the truth is most times this hardly ever happens. But I just hope that today's episode helps you fight back and take the necessary steps to win. And if you're listening to this and you haven't exactly thought about dying peacefully in your sleep or ending your life, but yet you feel trapped or hopeless, you feel like you're a burden to others, you wish you could disappear, you're isolating yourself, you feel emotionally numb, you start having overly frequent mood swings and changes in your sleep pattern, or you start engaging in risky behaviors such as taking increasing your alcohol intake or driving carelessly, then you're experiencing the signs of someone with suicidal thoughts. And I understand the confusion that comes with not knowing when you started feeling like this or what event triggered it. And according to Dr. Julie, she's a psychologist I follow on Instagram, and she said that sometimes there isn't an exact or particular reason for you like feeling this way. Sometimes it's a mixture of different factors that contributed to this state. So I don't want you to blame yourself for feeling like this. You don't need to have a good enough reason to feel depressed or have suicidal thoughts. Grief, rejection, financial difficulties, abuse, depression, trauma, and so many others are a few common factors that do lead to suicidal ideation. And some other factors that actually increase the risk of suicidal ideation, which is having suicidal thoughts, are having a family history of suicide. Maybe if you have someone in your family that has died by suicide or has attempted suicide, then it can increase the risk of you considering suicide. If you have a history of abuse or childhood trauma, if you have chronic pain or terminal illness where you just feel really hopeless, if you are struggling with a divorce or the loss of a very close and intimate relationship, or you are currently in an abusive relationship, then these are some of the risk factors that can increase the tendency of you having suicidal thoughts. And so how can you cope, or how can you get help while having suicidal thoughts? The first thing I want you to do is to actually talk to a therapist, a professional certified therapist, or a trained mental health professional. And I say this because a trained mental health professional will help you identify the triggers or the causes of the suicidal thoughts, because they have the right resources that would help you build healthy coping skills like emotional regulation, rephrasing negative self-talk, reframing unwanted thoughts, and also they'll be able to help you develop a safety plan. And now, while you go to a therapist, you should get prepared to answer questions like, how long have you thought of suicide? Have you come up with any action plan on your suicidal thoughts? Or have you been taking any medications to help? Now, these questions are not to pry into your past or to poke at wounds, but to help the therapist understand, evaluate, and also come up with treatment for your mental health condition. Now, the second thing you can do if you're having suicidal thoughts is to talk to a close friend. Now, you have to be very, very mindful of who you open up to. I know the underlying desperate need to just have someone see you and understand you, but don't let that need push you to open up to just anybody. If you open up to someone you're not really close to and then they invalidate your situation, you'll feel worse and you will actually make a plan to attempt suicide. I remember in 2018, it was in 2019 actually, when I posted something about having suicidal thoughts on my WhatsApp story. And I did this in an effort to seek support and be seen. But then someone replied and she made a very hurtful statement. She said something along the lines of, end it all if you want, nobody really cares. And I remember that I just felt so much worse. I felt worse than I was before. I felt more rejected and abandoned. I felt more hopeless. And this is just one of the major reasons why I would not advise you to post about your suicidal thoughts on social media, because one extra negative comment can be the last trigger to you attempting suicide. For example, there was this guy, I heard of his story in 2020. I wrote about him on my blog. You can check that out. His name was Brian Reckfall, and he was a popular gamer who struggled with his mental health. He got lots of negative comments after proposing to his girlfriend on Twitter, and a few hours later, he died by suicide. And his last tweets said, "I feel bad for anyone who has to deal with my insanity. Please just know in these situations, the insane person does not feel in control of their actions." So if you're opening up to someone about your struggles, please let it be someone you trust. And if you don't have anyone like that, try and find online communities and support groups with people that are willing to help or probably are in similar situations, because this would help you feel less alone. And if you're not the one experiencing suicidal thoughts, but someone opens up to you about them having suicidal thoughts, please offer support. Don't tell them things like, oh, you're just an attention seeker, or I don't see any reason why you should be suicidal, or you're just having a bad day. I have thoughts like that too. Please, if you do have thoughts like that, see a therapist or a counselor. Don't use that to comfort someone else, because it's not comforting. You're minimizing the situation. So when someone opens up to you about their struggles, about the negative thoughts that they are having, your first response should be love and support. It shouldn't be invalidation or even advice. If they didn't ask you for advice, please do not offer it. Or hostility, don't be hostile just because you don't see any visible reason why they should be suicidal or they should be depressed. And I know that it can be very hard receiving this kind of information, but please respond with love. Let them know that you're there for them. Advise them to go for therapy. Just check up on them regularly. Make them feel less alone in the best way you possibly can. Now, the third thing you can do if you're having suicidal thoughts is to avoid triggers. Now, if there are conversations or people that trigger your suicidal thoughts, please do your very best to avoid them. You honestly do need to leave the relationship or the friendship that negatively impacts your mental health. You cannot keep staying stuck in that same place. That just makes you feel worse about yourself and your entire existence. So please, if it's a friendship or if it's a romantic relationship that keeps, whether it's abusive or you don't feel loved, whatever it is that just makes you reconsider suicide, please avoid them. Another thing you can do is to avoid harmful objects. Now, when you're aware of your suicidal thoughts, please distance yourself from anything that can actually be used to attempt suicide, whether that's drugs you can overdose on, or alcohol that you can, have excess of, or guns or knives, and whatever harmful object it is that, because impulsive thoughts are real and they are dangerous, especially when you're someone that's really struggling with your mental health and you don't really have anyone that's there for you. And so you just keep having all these thoughts that I should just end it all. I should just kill myself, that maybe I'll be at peace. Maybe you feel better. But when you're having these thoughts and you're alone, please do not surround yourself with objects or whatever it is that you can use to harm yourself, because you can have an impulsive thought that will just be like, do it, just take that knife and stab yourself. And I'm actually very serious. This happens to a lot of people. So please, if you do have, or if you're struggling with suicidal thoughts right now, please avoid objects that can harm you, that you can use to harm yourself. Another thing I would really advise you to do is to connect with loved ones, because connecting with people you care about can give you a huge sense of belonging. It will make you feel less alone, even though it wouldn't exactly get to the underlying root of the problem, but then it will make you feel better. So you should definitely consider connecting with loved ones, and you should also try changing your environment if this is possible for you. If you have the resources to move to a new place, then I definitely do recommend it, because staying in a toxic environment that has people who trigger you is a very terrible idea for someone that's struggling with their mental health. And so if you have the resources to move to a new place and meet new people, please do so. Another thing you can do is to eat balanced diet, get enough sleep, and also exercise regularly if this is possible for you, because I say this all the time, your physical health is connected to your mental health. And I just want you to know once again that I do see you, and you're going to get better. You're going to enjoy life one day and be so grateful that you didn't give up. There is hope, even when your brain tells you there isn't. And if you're in Nigeria, just before I go, and you're frequently having suicidal thoughts, you can call the National Suicide Prevention Initiative Counselling Center. Their number is 080-621-06493. I'll say that again, 080-621-06493. And if you're in Lagos specifically, You can call the Lagos Suicide Hotline that has been provided by the Lagos State Government. Their number is 080-588-20777. 080-588-20777. If you didn't get that, the numbers are in the description for you to call. And if you're not in Nigeria, please contact your national suicide hotline for help. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the podcast. Please subscribe on the podcasting platform you're using to listen. And if you did enjoy this episode, or if you do have someone that you know is struggling right now with their mental health, please do share this episode with them, because I'm so sure that it will help them. And follow me on my social media accounts. I'll put the links in the description. I'll see you next Monday.